Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about definite articles and indefinite articles. Many people struggle to use the articles a, an, and the article the. In this very special video, I'm going to elucidate and explain the usage of every single article with some example sentences to help comprehend the full lesson. Stick around and don't go away. Indefinite articles are used when referring to an unspecified thing or quantity. What does it mean? So we use the articles a and an to talk about something that we don't know. We have no idea about it. For example, there once was a sheep or a sheep. So as you can see in this specific sentence, we use the article a because we don't know the name of the sheep or where it comes from. So we have no information about this specific sheep. So that's how we apply or we use the articles a and an, which are indefinite. However, we have some specific rules in applying the usage of both a and an. The general rule is to use the article a when it precedes a word beginning with a consonant sound. For example, a toy, a book, a house, a car. As you can see, the first letter of all of these words is a consonant. However, for the article an, we use the article an before any word starting with a vowel letter. What is a vowel letter? Have you ever heard of vowels before? I think I've talked about vowels in my previous videos. So we have 5 letters that are considered as vowels: A, E, I, O, and U. For example, an apple, an idea, an experience. So as you can see, the first letter of all of these words is a vowel. That's why we use the article an. Nevertheless, we still have some exceptions. For example, let's see the word honor or the word hourglass. You can't use, for example, you can't say an hourglass, an honor. It wouldn't make sense to use the article a with these 2 words, even though both of these words start with a consonant letter, but it's not a consonant sound. So you have to make sure it's a consonant sound. Let's talk about the word honor. Honor. So honor, it actually starts with O. So forget about the H. If you spell it or if you pronounce it as if you are starting with the word O, honor. And so O is a vowel. So that's why we can't say a honor, an honor. Same for hourglass. Hourglass, hour. So as if you are starting with O, you are O, hourglass. So it wouldn't make sense to say a hourglass, no, an hourglass. Okay? The same rule applies for the article an. Let's focus on these words: university, useful, and union. Usually, as you can see, these words start with a vowel, which is U, but it wouldn't make sense to use the article an with these words. Why? Because university, if you spell it, it's a consonant sound. University. So as if you are starting with Y. So it wouldn't make sense to say an university. No, a university. So we have to use the article a. Same for the word useful. A useful book, for example, not an useful. Same for union, a union. Okay, so you need to make sure to differentiate between consonant sounds and vowel sounds. So it's not only about how the word starts, no, it's about the sound of it. So when you spell the word, you need to make sure if you are hearing a consonant sound or a vowel sounds. Moving now to another rule of applying the articles a and n. We can't use the article a and n with the plural nouns. For example, it wouldn't make sense to say a beautiful cars. It doesn't make sense. You have to remove the s from car. You have to say a beautiful car without s. Another example, an interesting books. Noun. An interesting book without s. So try to remember this very specific rule. Many people make this mistake and use the articles a and n with the plural nouns. Don't do it. Otherwise, you will score low, specifically if you are writing an essay or if you are an IELTS candidate. You need to be very specific and professional in the usage or with the usage of both articles a and n. Now let's focus on an additional rule of the usage of both articles a and n, and that's what we call uncountable nouns. We cannot use the articles a and n with uncountable nouns. For example, it wouldn't make sense to say an information, noun, or an advice, or a furniture, noun. You can't use it because it's uncountable. Why? The word, for example, information, cannot be written with the word s. We can't say informations. We only can say information without s. So that's an uncountable noun. So we can't use the articles a and n with uncountable nouns. It's only used with countable nouns only. Okay? So try to remember this very well. So a nice car, for example, or a beautiful tree. A nice car and a beautiful tree. Car and a tree are both countable nouns because we can say cars with s or trees with s. It's countable. But we cannot say, for example, advices or information or luggages. We have a lot of uncountable nouns in English. Try to go back to my previous videos to watch a beautiful lesson about uncountable nouns. So that's it for the indefinite articles a and n. I've just shown you the rules of applying these two articles. So let me remind you. So I've talked about the consonants and the vowels. How do we use the article a with only a consonant sound, with a word starting with a consonant sound, and the article n with a word starting with a vowel sound, and they both are used or can be used with countable nouns only, not uncountable nouns, and also with singular nouns only. If you know and if you learn how to memorize these rules, you wouldn't make any mistakes in writing these two indefinite articles in your phrases or in your sentences or even while you are speaking. It's time now to talk about the definite article the, which has a complete opposite rule comparing to the articles a and n, which are indefinite. So, we use the article the if you want to talk about a known thing or known stuff, so you know what you are talking about. For example, I ate an apple yesterday. The apple was juicy and delicious. As you can see, at the beginning of the sentence, we use the article n because we don't know what apple it was. So that's why we used an apple. But in the other half of the sentence, we used the, because now I know what apple I'm talking about. The apple I ate yesterday. So I ate an apple yesterday. The apple was juicy and delicious. Okay? So that's the actual comparison between the indefinite articles and definite articles. However, we are still have some differences between the articles n, a, and the article the. For example, I've told you that with the articles or with the indefinite articles a and n, we can't use them with uncountable nouns or with the plural nouns. It's completely the opposite with the article the, because the article the can be used with both countable nouns and uncountable nouns. For example, the accurate information, the beautiful cards I saw yesterday, for example. So as you can see, cars is actually a plural countable noun, but information is an uncountable noun. So as you can see, we can use the with both countable and uncountable nouns. Also, we can use the with both singular and plural nouns. For example, let's say I have a nice car. So as you can see, a nice car. So that's the article a, which is indefinite, okay? And we have the word car is singular. You can use also the article the. For example, the weather is beautiful, or the car is amazing, or the cars are amazing. So the car is amazing, the cars are amazing. So as you can see, it still makes sense to use the article the with singular and the plural nouns. Okay, so see, you may have noticed the biggest differences between the article the and the articles a and n. So as you can see, article the can be used with uncountable, countable nouns, singular nouns, and the plural nouns, and with things that are known. Okay, so you know the identity of these specific things. However, some situations are considered, for example, unacceptable to follow the usage of the. So for example, we can't use the word the with streets, parks, single lakes, mountains, continents. We can't use it. So for example, Japan. We can't use the Japan. It wouldn't make sense. You can't say the mountain Everest. No, Mountain Everest. Or you can't say the San Francisco Bay. No, San Francisco Bay without the. So you have to make sure that you can't use the with these specific things. As I told you, continents, single lakes, mountains, bays, most counties or countries as well, we can't use it. However, we can use the article the if you are talking about united countries, or like large regions, or deserts, or peninsulas, or gulfs, seas, oceans, rivers, mountain ranges. So as you can see, we can use the article the with these specific words. For example, the Sacramental River, the Aleutians, the United Arab Emirates. Okay, so we can use the article the with the specific places or locations. So you need to know the difference of how to use the with some specific locations. So if you learn how to use it, you would sound like a native. Also, we use the article the to talk about a particular dinner, lunch, or breakfast. For example, I did not like the dinner yesterday. So we have a specific dinner that I am willing or I am considering to talk about. So that's why we use the article the. Also, we use the article the to talk about compass directions. For example, I live in the west, in the north, in the east, in the south. So we have a specific direction. However, if this compass direction follows a verb, then we can't use the article the. So it wouldn't make sense to say, I went the east. No, I went east. I went north. I went south. Okay, so learn how to use the article the with compass directions. Now moving to some unique objects. You may have noticed that we use article the with some unique names or words. For example, if you want to talk about the sky, you can't say sky, the moon, the sun, the internet. So these words are unique. That's what we call unique objects. So it's better to use the article the with these specific words to sound more fluent. Now let's move to the actual last situation of using the article the. You can use the article the with surnames. For example, if you want to designate a group of people or families, you can use the article the with the surnames, and it has to be in the plural form. For example, the Smiths are coming for dinner tonight. So as you can see, Smith is actually a surname, but we use it with the article or with the article the and with the plural form. So you can use the surnames with the plural form and even with the article. Okay, so the Smiths are coming for dinner tonight. Another example. Have you recently seen the Johnsons? Johnsons, the Johnsons. Okay, so learn how to use the article the with surnames. And as I told you, the surnames have to be in the plural form, not in the singular form. You would make a very big mistake if you use the article the with singular surnames. Now, if you want to talk about a profession, for example, you can't say I am the lawyer. No, it wouldn't make sense. If you want to talk about a job or a profession, it's better to use the articles a and n. So now we are going back to the indefinite articles a and n. So for example, I am a lawyer. She is a teacher. He is a dancer. So it's better to use the articles a and n with the jobs and professions. Jumping now into the last part, I'm going now to talk about a specific rule where we don't actually have to use any article. If you want to talk about all things or things in general, then you don't need to use any article. So you don't need to use a, an, or even the, because you are talking about all things in general. And this rule applies for both countable nouns and uncountable nouns. For example, trees are beautiful in fall. So what does it mean? It means that all trees are beautiful in fall or in this specific season. So then you don't need any article. Another example, he was asking for advice. So it means he was asking for advice in general. So then it's in general, so you don't need any article. Okay, next to advice. Anyway, you can't use the article a or n before advice. Why? Because advice is uncountable. So try to remember this rule very well. Now let's move to another example. For example, I do not like coffee, for example. Or yes, I do not like coffee. It's a very simple sentence. So what does it mean? It means that I don't like all coffee in general. So then you don't need any article before the word coffee. So now you need to learn how to use these articles. So in this video, I have shown you how to use the indefinite articles and definite articles. Let me just give you a recap. So you can use the article a and n with singular nouns only and countable nouns only. Okay, and we specifically use the article a if the word that follows the article starting with a consonant sound. However, we use the article n if the word follows the article n starts with a vowel sound. And I'll talk about vowels, which are a, e, I, o, and u. We also use the articles a and n to talk about something that is not known. So you don't know anything about this specific thing, okay? However, we use the article the with things that you know the identity of. So it's a known thing, okay? We also use the article a and n with the jobs and professions. Now with the article the, I've shown you how to use the article the with oceans, gulfs, with complex directions, with surnames in the plural nouns. So try to go back to the video to learn how to use properly and correctly these articles. So I hope that I actually have fully explained to you the right usage or the right technique of how to use the articles a, an, and the. So that's all. Thank you so much for joining me in this very specific video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and activate the bell button to help receive all the upcoming uploads. I wish you all the best and I look forward to seeing you again on my channel.